Welcome back to the booth, everybody. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. I am joined by Rashad Miller. Hey, Rashad.
How you doing?
I'm great. We're going to watch some draft, my favorite thing personally.
You know what? I like watching draft when I'm with you watching draft.
Yeah, and I know how much you like Q, but we're going to be seeing M13 today, and we're going to be watching Shouta Yasooka do a little drafting. You know, he's not known for being a great limited player, but he seems to have really turned up his game lately. He did well here in the Q portion, and he also top 8 of the last limited GP.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I remember seeing him in the top 8.
You were there.
Yes, I was there. It was a limited GP last weekend, and he top 8'd.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to get a chance to look over his shoulder, view his picks. We get to talk about them, which is always fun to do. So right now, let's head down to the feature match area, M13 draft.
All right, players, welcome to day 2. We're back to 14 card packs today and normal draft timings. So please
Players are
open the
getting ready
booster
here.
marked A and ensure
The
that it
procedures of a
contains
timed
14
draft
cards.
dictate that they must do a few things like count off the cards in their pack, and you have to be very careful about where you set things down and that kind of thing. It's just one of these things that just to make sure that everything's on the up and up and that there's no procedural errors during the course of this.
Yeah,
initial
Pick
you
up
know,
the cards,
keep your
you have
eyes on your
40 seconds.
cards and
Yes.
try not to even do, the instinct of just looking around. Because
Right. All right, so we get a look at Shota's first pack here, and it looks like he's brought a Centaur Courser to the front. There's also a Fog, a Trumpet Blast, Giant Scorpion, a Reckless Brute. There's an Arbor Elf, which is a card I like quite a bit in this format. I was talking to Brian Kibler the other day, and he said he thinks in green that it's the best common.
Yeah, and you know what? Vanilla creatures have come a long way as far
They
as
have.
being solid in draft formats, and I'm actually a little surprised that that's like one of the things that he's really looking to draft. Maybe he really likes green.
5
Yeah,
seconds.
but I mean, the question here is, if you're going to take a green card, do you take the Arbor Elf or the Centaur Courser?
Draft.
Because,
Lay out
like I
13
said, Kibler
cards.
thinks the Arbor Elf's the best common.
Arbor Elf is very good, especially if you have a Centaur Courser
Yeah,
to
turn
wrap
two?
into it. Turn 2 at 3/3.
Pick up,
It's big. It's going to be
35
bigger than
seconds.
anything else. That can block that turn.
For at least a couple turns, yeah, except for like maybe a Fog Bank or
Yeah,
something.
right.
All right, so he does go with the Centaur Courser, opting for the higher power level creature. And he is thumbing through his pack now. We're going to get a look at all the cards. This is a pretty weak pack. He's brought a Rummaging Goblin to the front.
Yeah, and he actually looked at every single card before he picked the card to bring to the front. So I don't think he's really happy with this pack. But Rummaging Goblin is still a good pick, still a good card. Not really the aggressive card for the green-red decks, but you want
5
one.
seconds.
You want one
You
in your
do.
deck.
You want one in your green-red deck, and green-red is one of the better archetypes in M13,
Draft,
so I think he could be
layout,
pretty happy
12
to take the
cards.
Rummaging Goblin here. Although, I have to say, pack 1, pick 2 Rummaging Goblin, not super exciting. You'd much rather be picking up Searing Spears
Yeah.
or
Pick up,
Hoof Boar.
30
something like
seconds.
that.
I'm actually curious as to what was the first pick in that pack, because that pack didn't look strong at all.
No. And this pack is also not very strong. I think the best card here is, well, it depends on his color considerations, but in green, it's definitely the Elvish Visionary.
Yeah, he's also considering the Torch Fiend, and he was looking at the Liliana Shade.
He was indeed, and I think that does warrant a gander, although...
Oh, it's a very solid card, but if Yasooka
5 seconds.
is set on his colors, these 2 picks, then he's going to
Draft,
pick one of these 2
layout,
red or green
11
colors.
Wow, he took the Torch Fiend. I think that's really interesting. I think I would have taken the... if I was going to take one of those 2, I would have taken the Visionary.
Well, there's a lot of
Pick up,
Chromatons running
25
out there.
seconds.
Chromaton is
Yeah.
an issue for sure. It does look like he's pretty content, though, to stick in red-green. Now, he's not committed in any way to these 2 colors. Now, he gets a Welcome Turn and a Primal Hunt Beast. There's also a Captain's Call and a Crusader of Odric, but it looks like he's strongly considering the Hunt Beast there.
Right, it looks like he's solid green. He's really set on
5
green,
seconds.
but he's still not sure what his second color is going to be. But I
I mean,
don't.
2 of his 3 cards are
Draft.
red.
Layout
Well,
10 cards.
2 of his 3 cards are red, but 2 of his most solid picks are green.
Yeah, now he
Yeah.
did go ahead and take the Hunt Beast as well.
Pick up,
I
25
think
seconds.
solid is a very good word to describe the Hunt Beast. It's not super exciting, but it certainly gets the job
Yeah,
done as far as being a 4-drop.
And it's been the green cards that he's been happiest to draft, as you can tell the way that he's flipping the cards to the front of the pack, as most players will do in order of preference of what they'd like to
Yeah,
pick.
which is nice for us.
Yeah.
So he's looking at a Chandra's Fury here in red. There's
5
also
seconds.
an Essence Scatter, which he seems interested in. I see a Goblin Arsonist, which I think deserves a look as well, but he
Draft.
decided just
Layout,
to take the
9
Chandra's Fury.
cards.
It looks like Shouta is looking to be very aggressive here. He's
Yeah.
taken, the
Pick up,
high
20
power
seconds.
creatures or the things that do damage over the, kind of preventative type cards.
Yeah, and lava axe effects have come a long way. Becoming
Yeah.
instant. That one point that you don't get to do to the player, which is instead spread about all of their creatures. It makes it a lot better.
5 seconds.
Yeah, well, and doing it to each of their creatures, you can kill a creature or 2 or 3. It looks like he's going to
This
take a
is
Korean
crap.
Dryad
They
here.
are
Wow,
8
that
cards.
is a very interesting early pick for it.
Yeah, Korean Dryad is a card that if your deck is roughly half and half on colors and you can turn to it, it
Pick
can
up,
become a
20
3/3 or
seconds.
4/4 in a pretty reasonable clip. But otherwise, it can be pretty unexciting. He didn't take a Titanic Growth over it, which I kind of thought he was going to just because he looks like he wants to beat down here. But so some interesting picks. He's looking at a Griffin Protector. There's also
5
a Volcanic
seconds.
Strength and a Cleaver Riot.
Oh,
And he
ooh.
brings one of my favorite cards, like I said,
Draft.
Evolving
Yeah,
Wilds to the
7
front, and he's just going
cards.
to take that.
Well, he may be trying to stay open for it. Maybe my red, or maybe even his
Pick
green
up,
isn't
15
as strong as it
seconds.
could be. And, a third color doesn't really hurt as much with the Evolving Wilds. And it's another different color that isn't green for your current range, or your current Dryad.
Dryad.
5 seconds.
Yep. So he's got another Chandra's Fury pulled to the front along with a Giant Scorpion and a Captain's
Draft.
Call. I mean, I'm assuming
Lay
he's
out
going to take
6
the Fury,
cards.
but he takes the Scorpion. Maybe he just really likes that card and views it as a signal of some type.
Pick up,
I don't
10
think I would at
seconds.
this point, although that said, I actually really like Giant Scorpion a lot too. It just seems to go in a little bit of a different deck.
5 seconds.
Yeah, actually, in the first pack, the pack that he opened, there was a Giant Scorpion with that Centaur
Draft.
Cursor.
Lay out
He-
Yeah,
5
that
cards.
he must have just wheeled it there.
and
so
there
he-
was a Trumpet Blast.
He takes a Trumpet Blast. Trumpet
Pick up,
Blast is a card
10
that you
seconds.
generally want to have in a white red deck.
Yeah, something that generates a lot of tokens so that you can
That's
get
right.
the
5
most
seconds.
effect out of all of your creatures getting +2. So
Now we're getting to the late stage of the
Draft.
pack here, and he's taking a
Lay out
War
4 cards.
Priest of Thune. I think at this point he's pretty confident that he's
Pick
going to
up,
be in
5 seconds.
green. He's probably going to be in red as well, but I don't know that he's 100% sure of that.
Draft.
He's looking at the Bond
Lay out
Beetle. There's
3
also
cards.
a safe passage. He takes the Bond Beetle.
yeah, and it may have been
Pick up,
even the
5 seconds.
Giant Scorpion pick could have been. You know what?
I would not like to face this
Yeah, I don't
down.
want to face against this card,
Draft.
and
Lay out
there's
2 cards.
there's no green or red cards that I'm really going to be playing in this deck.
Pick up. You have 5 seconds.
He takes a Captain's Call there, which is pretty late, and he's going to rare draft a Battle of Wits here.
Ooh, well, rare draft or
Draft.
set
Pass
up
the
for
final
the
card and show it to the
the
opponent.
battle. I think
I mean,
all you need-
he's
all you
known
need
to
is
be a
3.
brewer. Like he.
You have 30 seconds. to
That's
review.
probably going a bit too far. So he's going to get a chance to review his picks here. And like I said, it feels like he's in green, but he did pick up that Trumpet Blast and a Captain's Call fairly late. He might be tempted to veer off into red-white tokens. His green cards are pretty good, but not super exciting. He's got a Primal Hunt Beast, Centaur Courser. He also could just have his mind on a 3-color deck, like a Naya-color deck. He did take that Evolving Wilds.
Yeah, I think he's really going to be looking forward to see what he's going to open up in this next pack. And maybe if he opens up, a nice bomb that
Picks
isn't
down,
red or green,
please.
he's still in a reasonable
Open the booster
situation where
mark
he can
B
get
Yeah,
and
I mean,
ensure that
right
he
now,
swings
switch
to
to that
his-
color
his
and splash
cards.
either red or green.
Yeah, I mean, his pool's a mess right now. Like, it's all over the map. He needs to find some direction in this next pack. He's got a few solid cards in a few colors, but it just doesn't really have like a cohesive theme. He's not really moving in a solid direction. So
Pick up the
he's going to
cards.
be
You have
looking to
40
solidify
seconds.
that in pack 2 here.
Yeah, and you don't always get that type of solidification in pack 1.
Absolutely, and it actually can be a boon to you to be able to go into the second pack with a somewhat open mindset. So he's opened a Stormtide Leviathan, which he seems interested in, but I don't really see how he could go down that path at this point.
Especially with the Volcanic Geyser right there.
Yeah, and that's really, really a top pick. I mean, that card has shown its mettle. It can, at instant speed, take out many, many creatures in the mid part of the game, and you could just use it to finish off your opponent.
And really, throughout the history of Magic, red spells
5
with an
seconds.
X in the casting cost have been extremely powerful in limited formats.
And man,
Draft.
instant speed
Layout
makes it
13
so much better. I
cards.
know you got to pay an extra red for it over a card like Blaze or Fireball, but my goodness, having it be instant speed opens up so many doors to you. Your opponent says, "I'd like to play
Pick
my
up,
Mark of the
35
Vampire,"
seconds.
and you're like, "Well, kill that thing in response." That's a huge, huge advantage.
And actually, on a similar note,
Now this is a really interesting pick. So he's opened up another guy, or he's been past another Geyser and a Searing Spear, and this is a kind of a controversial I think I saw another geyser. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
there
so-
definitely is another geyser.
Yeah, and so this is one of those things that it's efficiency versus overall power level. The geyser has a higher top end.
Yeah, but sometimes you just want to be able to cast 2 spells and in the same
Yep.
turn.
Yeah.
And
5
2 mana
seconds.
for 3 damage is highly efficient, especially if you have cards like Korean Dryad that wants you to be able to
Lay out
cast
12
multiple
cards.
non-green spells in a turn,
Yeah.
or just being able to deal with opposing Centaur Courser on
Sure.
the second turn and not having to wait until you have
Yeah,
5
I mean,
mana.
I
30
mean, it's much
seconds.
more efficient of a spell, right? 3 mana for 2. You'd have to pay 5 to get that same effect
Yeah.
out of a geyser. That being said, the geyser can, really ratchet it up and just do 8 to somebody. He's opened a pack, or excuse me, he's been passed a pack leader here, and Garrick's pack leader is a very strong card, certainly better than the spiked Baloth he has in there. I know his eyeball probably went to that Voidstalker in blue just because Voidstalker is a pretty efficient, solid
yeah,
card
it's definitely
as well.
a solid blue card.
But,
But
Five
not
seconds.
anywhere near where he's at.
yeah, especially if you're going to be red-green. Red-green has a lot of
Draft.
high
Lay out
power
11
for low
cards.
casting cost creatures.
I mean, the Centaur Courser.
yeah, Centaur Courser, maybe you could pick up a Mog Flunkies or 2 a little bit later. And most of the green, even
Pick
the
up
Primal Huppies that he
25
already
seconds.
has.
Yep.
Three power is where the game starts for green.
Exactly. Now he immediately pulls a plummet to the front, and he's going to go through the rest of the cards. This is, for him, a very weak pack. If he wanted to splash white, he could do the prized elephant. That would be totally reasonable.
It's actually, I think, a benefit that this pack
5
is
seconds.
so weak for Shouta, and there's a plummet in it, because a lot of
Draft.
times you don't want to take
Lay out
plummet
10
over like a
cards.
really solid card, or even in this case,
So-
he didn't take it over the prize elephant.
Yeah, but I think that's the correct pick because now he can start moving in a direction
Pick up
where his
25
splash
seconds.
is white and his deck is probably green-red. Whoa! Did you just see that?
I did just see that.
Predatory Rampage is, it's the overrun of the set, as they say.
This is a 5th pick Rampage.
Yeah, this is insane. Like this is this is probably what he wanted to open the most, and he's been past it. So this is
5
a very
seconds.
very easy pick for him, and he even has a shot to wheel a playable here. I saw a fungal sprouting, a
Lay out
Yeva's
9
Force
cards.
Mage in there. He could get something back out of this pack, which
Yeah.
would be insane.
And Shouta, he's positioned well, because if we're seeing he's getting fed great red cards, great green cards,
Pick
really
up
late in the
20
pack.
seconds.
He's probably one of the few red-green
Is that a
drafters at
prey
this
upon?
table. That is a prey upon, and a
Wow.
Mog Flunkies, and a red-green, and a Woodcrack.
A Rootbound Crag
Yeah,
as
Rootbound
well.
Crag.
Now, I mean, for me, this choice is easily the Prey
5
Upon.
seconds.
Like, that's one of the better removal spells in the set, and when you're already base green, it goes so well in your
Draft.
deck. The
Lay out
tempo
8
that you can
cards.
get, and he does take it from Prey Uponing a creature while they're tapped out and then attacking, is really, really awesome.
Yeah, and he's probably going to even table that Mog Flunkies,
Pick up
because
20
I don't
seconds.
see how anyone else can be drafting red-green if cards like Prey Upon, Mog Flunkies, Predatory Rampage they're still in the packs this late.
Yeah, I mean, Flunkies goes into a more specific deck, but it does get run in these decks as well, and it looks like he's picked up a Goblin Arsonist here.
5
That's
seconds.
a fine pick. This is exactly where you want to be taking a card like that.
Right, because right now Shouta,
Draft.
he is
Lay
definitely
out 7
decided on
cards.
what he's playing, his 3
Yes.
colors. He's red-green, he's going to be splashing white, he has Evolving Wilds, he has a Prize Elephant, he has some residual white cards that
Yep.
he picked
Pick
up,
up
late
15
pack 1.
seconds.
And, his deck is coming together right now.
I think so too. So he's got a Dragon Hatchling pulled to the front. There's another Trumpet Blast. I don't. Maybe Shore of
5
Valor
seconds.
is just it's just a combat trick here, but I'm really not a big fan of Dragon
Draft.
Hatchling.
Yeah, I don't
Lay
know
out
that he's
6
going to be
cards.
playing any of these cards in his build. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe he really likes Dragon Hatchling, and he does.
Pick
but
up 10
that
seconds.
was definitely, a pick of maybe I'll play this card, maybe I won't, maybe I'll
Wow.
do a
5
a
seconds.
Are you
flyer
seeing
and
how late this
sideboard.
Welkin turn is here? I mean, blue is not the best color. It might be the
Draft.
worst color
Lay
in
out
M13
5
draft.
cards.
He doesn't want to face it down, though.
Right.
He hasn't gotten any spiders yet, so he's going to cut it. That isn't going to make his
Pick
deck
up
most likely.
10
but
seconds.
that's a pretty late one. Ooh, speaking of spiders. Yeah. Now, this is actually a really tough pick. He's got a Farseek, which
5
he'd love to
seconds.
have for ramping and mana fixing, a Roaring
and a Roaring
Primadux,
Primadux.
and a spider. Now, for me, I just
Draft.
take the Deadly
Lay out
Recluse.
4 cards.
But he does not. He takes the Primadux. Now, the reasoning why I would do that is because he does, like the Bond Beetle,
Pick
I
up
believe, is the
5
only thing that he
seconds.
really has to abuse with
He
the
also,
Primadux.
he also has a pack, Garrett's
Draft.
pack leader.
Lay out
Okay,
3
sure. So
cards.
he can just draw a card every
he can
turn.
just draw
Yeah.
a card every turn. So
It's just
and-
it costs you so much mana that if you're
Pick
behind
up
it all, it's
5
hard
seconds.
to dig your way out.
right, but we still have a whole nother pack as Shouta picks up as
Draft.
well, just for
Lay
his
out 2
sideboard.
cards.
And that that opens up so
Pick up,
many
5 seconds.
options just
Yeah.
to what your deck can actually do to grind out a long game, or
Yep.
you know.
By the way, he did get that
Draft,
Yavis Force
pass
Mage
the
back.
last card.
Oh, wow.
show it to
Yeah,
the
so
board behind
not
you.
that it's like an amazing card, but it does work well with the
You now
Roaring
have 45
Primadox,
seconds
and
for
it's a
review.
good curve filler at the 3-drop slot. Now, I kind of like the Spider pick a little better, a couple picks back there, because I want 2-drops and I want creatures that are able to block the flyers that he could face here.
But you have to think of it this way: if a Welcome Turn goes around the table for that long, how many flyers do you think you're gonna have to deal with? Because if someone's like a blue-white flyers deck, they're gonna take that Welcome Turn pretty high. So maybe the packs are weak. Maybe these are very weak packs. We're going to see maybe some very weak flyer decks, and you know there might not be that much value in a Spider. Spider's great. That's Deadly Recluse is a great card, but
like
maybe
Deadly Recluse is the green Doomblade.
I thought that was Plummet.
No,
I thought
we
I thought-
changed it. No,
no,
no.
I thought
he
it was
always gets his man.
Picks down.
Sometimes.
You can't not 1-for-1 with the Deadly Recluse. It's just impossible.
Contains 14
So
cards.
he's going to be looking. You know, remember earlier when I said I'd like to take that Elvish Visionary. So Roaring Primadox is one of those reasons, and I think that we should look. I think that Shouta is going to be looking to pick up an Elvish Visionary or two
Pick
to
up the
use
cards,
with
you
his
have
Oh yeah,
40
cards like
seconds.
that are going to they gain a lot of value once you have a Roaring Primadox in your deck.
They do indeed. Let's see what he opens here. There's an Encrust. Okay, so there's another prized elephant, which, yeah, it's definitely possible. A Mark of Mutiny. I see a Fervor.
There's actually only one green. There's also Evolving Wilds, which if Shouta wants to further fix his mana, that would be a great option. But it looks like he's really set on this prized elephant.
Huh.
I mean, he's kind of thinking. Well, Mark of Mutiny is not in the running
5
anymore.
seconds.
So, our own coverage, Brian David
Draft,
Marshall.
Lay out 13 cards.
He can't be here this weekend because he's ill, but he just texted me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Pick up,
and he just pointed out
35
something
seconds.
really cool. Crayon Dryad with Primadox and
Wow.
just bounce
And any non-green.
some red thing
Yeah,
over
look,
and over again.
That's actually
Yeah.
very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And I actually just heard from our floor reporter, Shalaminary, that someone else is also drafting red-green, either to Shoulta's right or left. I couldn't remember which side it was. But
Ooh, I have a view of what John Finkel's looking at, and I see one card in his that he's holding in his hand. That's pretty sweet. We'll see if it comes around.
5
now,
seconds.
Looks like Shota's deciding on an Oblivion Ring or a Sentinel Spider. He goes for the splashed Oblivion Ring here.
Draft.
It is
Lay
more
out
powerful,
12
but the
cards.
Spider is super solid.
you know, the Spider's solid, but right now Shouta doesn't have. The only removal that he has for
Pick
creatures
up,
would
30
be a
seconds.
Searing Sphere and a Volcanic Geyser. And he may I think he did pick up that Prey Upon, but he really doesn't have any artifact removal that he can play main deck or
well, I mean,
enchantment
he
removal
picked
that
up
he
a
can play
Smelt,
main
but
deck.
he's
I
not
mean,
going to main deck it.
right.
Yeah, like an acidic slime or
Exactly.
something like that. Yeah.
Nothing really versatile.
But he's got a pacifism pass to him now as well. I mean, it's really looking like White's fairly open at this point, at least coming from this direction. And I'm wondering, it's going to be interesting
5
to see
seconds.
as he picks the pacifism
Exactly
here.
how many white cards he ends up with.
Yeah, I mean, his deck
Draft,
could easily
lay out
slip
11
into
cards.
green, white, splash red.
Yeah, especially if you're getting past Oblivion Ring and Pacifism. I
Yeah.
mean, what's the next card? What are we getting past next? What's the
Pick
next
up,
white card? that we're
25
gonna get?
seconds.
Sublime Archangel, Odric,
Well, neither of those.
War Falcon, or
I don't know that red green is really high up in the soldier count.
yeah. So
Those guys don't enlist.
no, they do not. So he's looking at a Kindled Fury, a Reckless Brute, and a Yavis Force Mage here. I mean, I think he's just going to take the Force Mage.
It seems like the
5
better
seconds.
of those three, the
Yeah.
best of those three picks.
You know, it's interesting watching a draft in this way
Draft.
because, you
Lay
know,
out 10
just
cards.
as Shouta doesn't have a picture in front of him of all of his draft picks, we don't either. So it's kind of,
Pick up,
you know, we're trying to remember,
25
offhand, well, how
seconds.
many 3-drops does he have? You know, what is he trying to fill in here?
And I think we
Oh,
saw
there's a Healer of the Pride. That's a particularly strong card. A card that when I initially saw it, I thought, oh, that's okay. And after having played it, I thought, actually,
Yeah.
that's just really good.
Yeah, 2 life is actually a big deal for every creature that you
It
that you
is.
play, and you know he does have Roaring Primadox.
Yeah.
So
You know,
we're getting increasing
5
value out of
seconds.
that Primadox.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like he's trying to decide between that and the Brute, but I
Draft.
think he's just
Lay
going
out
to take the
9
Healer.
cards.
It is a particularly strong card. You know, I was talking with Brian Kibler, and he was saying, I just want to gain life. And, you know, everybody knows, or
Pick
at
up,
least, I shouldn't
20
say that, but a
seconds.
lot of players know now, you know, you don't want to take cards in draft that only gain you life unless there's some special reason to do it, which is very rare.
Exactly.
But cards that give you incidental life gain, like this one, I mean, you're getting a 2/3 creature for 4, which is
That's
not
5
exciting,
seconds.
but not awful.
Right. It's still a formidable body.
Yeah.
3 toughness is still something
Yes,
to deal with.
and
8
you're gaining a
cards.
bunch of life as the game goes on. Like, it can swing the flow of a race very quickly.
Yeah, that last pack, there wasn't a lot going on. There was Shouta took
Pick
the
up,
spike bailout.
20
There was also a
seconds.
naturalize, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's worried about having to naturalize anything with his Oblivion Ring.
I don't think so either. This pack doesn't have much for him, but he has brought a Kite Sail to the front.
And a
Ki-
Ranger's Path?
And a Ranger's Path. I really like the Kite Sail in a deck like this, actually. I think that's the clear pick here.
5
It
seconds.
looks like Shouta really likes the Ranger's Path.
I know. The thing about Ranger's Path is that his curve just isn't that
Draft.
high. If
Lay
I'm
out
running
7
things
cards.
like Dustale Worm,
Right.
I'm much more likely to run a Ranger's Path.
And he went with the Kite Sail.
He did.
So you were right.
Pick up. 15
I don't know
seconds.
that we
I
actually
mean-
decided we actually took sides there.
All right, I see a Scroll Thief down at the bottom. It looks like he's going to take a look at that.
Yeah, I think we're in
5
defensive hate draft mode.
Yeah,
right now.
there's nothing for him here, so he's just going to decide what he doesn't want to see
Draft.
on the other side
Lay
of
out
the table.
6
And he's going to
cards.
take the red ring.
Well, you know what? The red ring is playable, especially if depends on how
He
many
is in red.
Pick
He
up,
is in
10
red.
seconds.
We think red could easily be a splash right now.
It could
Easily
be. The awkward part about so there's that
5
prize
seconds.
elephant he gets. That's pretty nuts. So I mean I gotta see what his deck
Draft.
looks like laid
Yeah,
out, but it
5
does feel
cards.
like he's drifted all the way into because his best cards are white and green.
Right.
Now
And-
the problem is
Pick up,
one of his
10
best red
seconds.
cards is Volcanic Geyser.
Right, and that one's not easy to splash.
That is not splashable.
One,
at
one,
all.
of, one of the down.
And now we
falls of
see
the
a
double ring.
really late Griffin Protector here as well. And Shouta has just really
Draft,
stayed patient
layout,
and picked
4
up the
cards.
signals here. And he's really it's really paying dividends now that
Pick
he's
up,
gotten past
5
all these great
seconds.
white cards late.
And you know what? It actually feels better when your deck is green, white, splash, red.
Draft.
I think so,
Layout,
too.
Instead
3
of like
cards.
green, red, splash, prize elephants. You know,
Pick
when,
up,
when you get to play,
5
when you get to play
seconds.
green and white and have a great creature base, and then your splash is, you know,
Searing
really,
Spirit.
yeah, Searing Spirit,
Draft,
solid
layout,
removal
2
spells.
cards.
It just feels like a better deck.
I agree with that.
Pick
And
up,
I
5
think his deck's
seconds.
going to be pretty good. I think he is going to have a tough choice where he's going to probably have to not play that Geyser, which is pretty
Draft.
disappointing.
Pass the final
But
card and show it to the person.
I think he's
I
going to
think
have
you
a
can learn
very,
to live
very
with it.
solid
Leave your
deck.
picks
Yeah.
face
He's
down
also
until
got a Prey
instructed to
Upon, an
do
Oblivion
otherwise.
Ring, and a Pacifism.
He
Plus
also
just
picked
a
up-
bunch of beef.
He also picked up 2 zombie on Goliath, so I
Okay.
just wanted to mention that. You know, I like zombie giants. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have no love for zombie giants.
Well, do you like giants that make zombies?
Oh yeah, yeah, I like that one. That one's one of my favorites. All right, so that's gonna wrap up the draft portion here for Shouta, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. Like there was only a couple of picks that I thought differently, and the path he ended up going down was very solid to me.
Yeah, I think he did a great job of reading the table. Pack 1, he really didn't have a lot of opportunities to actually read what was going on.
There wasn't much to say.
Yeah,
it was kind of all over
He
the place.
actually picked the best card, I think,
Yeah.
in each of those packs. So, you know, even though, you know, second pick, Rummaging Goblin, the rest of the cards in the packs
Hi.
were really just role players.
Welcome back to the booth. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. That's Rashad Miller. Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, if you spread out that pack from his first pack, it was kind of a mess, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
had some good stuff in there, but it was kind of all over the map a little bit.
Yeah.
And then as he went into, and this happens. I mean, this is something that it, like I said, it actually can be a benefit to you. Sure, you'd rather just have like solid picks all the way through.
Yeah.
But this enabled him to, by the time he got all the way to pack 3, he could start looking at white cards and be like, well, I'll take that one, and
Yeah.
I'll take that one. And now he's got things like Captain's Call, another prized elephant, some stuff in the back.
Yeah, I mean, he started picking white cards from pack 1.
Yeah.
Even though they were like 13th pick, 14th pick white cards.
But they were reasonable
Yeah,
cards.
exactly. They're cards that if you were actually already in white, you'd
Mm-hmm.
probably pick like 6th or 7th in those packs.
Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go back to the news desk. So we're gonna send it back over there. When we come back, we're gonna have M13 matches. So for now, let's go back to the news desk.